Diamonds is part of that right now. You know, could they flip him? They very well could, but I see a spot for him at this point. Quite frankly, I think if this team is out shooting, their projections, right? And they're sitting there and they are one of the better teams in the East next year. Again, they're 5, 6, whatever it is. That Damian Lillard, I think, makes a realistic sense for them, depending on how much he wants to get paid and what they can afford. But and then maybe he signs there. It's a multi-year type thing, and then Tatum comes back healthy, Dame's healthy, and then you got Dame, you got Jalen, you got Tatum, you got Ant, which would be hilarious if you still had him, if you hadn't moved off him, and then whatever else you fill it out with, right? So there's moves to be had there. And then in an interview today, Brad Stevens came out and he talked about that, being in the second apron. He said that's why they made those moves. It was all because of the cap. He said, "quote We've known for a long time that hard decisions were coming. That's what Stevens said on Tuesday on the decision to trade both Holiday and Porzingis, which both deals became official this week. The second apron is why those trades happened. I think that is pretty obvious, and the basketball penalties associated with those are real. So that was part of making the decision to push and put our chips on the table and go for the last 2 years. So that makes sense. Like seriously, like they put everything out on the table. They made the run. Drew Holiday was very, very integral to that championship run. But keeping that together in the long term with the way the CBA is structured is just not feasible. It doesn't make sense for them. It hurts everybody. Every single team who's in that apron situation has tried to get out of it and figure things out, right? And so this move again, it had nothing to do with the competitiveness. They're not moving off of Drew because he's washed. They're not moving off of Porzingis because he's not important. They're moving off those two guys because in the hierarchy of how that team wants to build, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are more important, right? And so, okay, one of my guys is down. We need to heal him back up. We want to make sure JB's around. We're going to have to move off some guys. Then you look at a guy making 35 million. You look at KP and you're like, okay, those are my guys that are out. Those are my guys that are out. So the move, again, I don't feel had anything to do with, okay, Drew Holiday's not good anymore, so we need to get off him. It had everything to do with the fact that they just needed to clear some cap space. Absolutely they did. And that's what they did in this situation. So that's my take on that. And again, I think Brad Stevens came out and basically said the same thing. And cleared that up just a little bit. Now, how they move forward is going to be interesting. The CBA is really just kind of wreaking havoc on teams, right? I mean, if you were on social media today, you saw that Draymond Green was all over the CBA and hating it. And of course, some people think it was a kind of a shot, not a shot, but maybe attempted to make a commentary on Jonathan Kuminga, right? It could have been an attempt to make an attempt on Jonathan Kuminga there about Jonathan Kuminga still being with the Warriors and not finding trade partners and what he's going to do with his future and all that, right? And again, it all came back down to the CBA. That is what's hampering people right now. How do these teams navigate this? How do they make sure their caps are in order? That's why the deal for DeAndre Ayton, just waiving DA, makes sense for the Blazers. It keeps them under that first apron and gives them access to the full MLE, and they can sign someone with that full MLE or use it as a trade exception down the line, and it still does not put them over that first apron, so they're in a great spot moving forward. Those things matter. Now back to Draymond Green. This is what he said on Threads of all places. He started it with a Dear Diary. I'm sitting in my man cave having a conversation with my wife, baffled at the fact that the NBA free agency is over. Quite frankly, it never really started. The level of anticipation leading up to July 1st were as exciting as the fireworks on the 4th. It was the excitement of the NBA Finals, yet only a week after watching a team spray champagne and ride on floats, one can only point to the new CBA and the second apron hard cap for absolutely putting an end to free agency as we once knew it. Sadly, I sit here and watch so many players overplay the market and not understand that they are up against the new rules. So again, is that a veiled shot at Kuminga, right? Oh, you're overplaying your value, or what are you doing? Which leads me to trying to understand the unstaggering percentage of guys that has no idea of the business that they are a part of. And I, as a vet in this league. Watch players mismanage their careers, and before they know it, look back like, dang, where to next? I can go so far with this, but I really don't feel like typing that all right now because there's so many arms to this topic and an insane amount. And then add in my personal experience with it. I have what I think is an extremely unique perspective, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, as he starts going on about his relationships. And then he ends it with the league is great. It's been great to all of us. Amazing partnerships amongst players, staffs, front office, yada, yada, yada. But the CBA, I'm kind of beating a dead horse here, I guess. And also, before y'all run and make this about JK, Jonathan Kuminga, it isn't. He's 22. He'll be great and make a bunch of money. So this ain't got nothing to do with him. And I think it might have had just a little bit to do with him because the teams aren't engaging in trade talks with the Warriors as much, again, because the CBA is hampering them. The one thing I will tell you that I 100% do not agree with Draymond Green on is the fact that free agency is dead as we know it. I don't understand what he's talking about. I don't think the CBA has killed that at all. I think it changes the way in which free agency works a little bit. You see more moves around the edges and a lot more role players hitting the market, right? But this free agency period was a low free agency period when it came to superstar power, right? There was not the Kevin Durant's and, all these guys just, boom, we're in the market. Every single good player. Here we go. What are we going to do? What megastar is going to land in a new city? Now, there was the trades, obviously, Kevin Durant to Houston. But there was just a lot of role players. But then you look at all the moves that happened. Obviously, Anthony Simons in the Drew Holiday one, Kristaps Porzingis, all the moves that Houston made. There's trades being happening. There's free agent moves happening. And then you even look at the situation that they were CBA casualties. Damian Lillard, DeAndre Ayton, and Jordan Clarkson. But in those three situations, those players were bought out, still retained their financial wealth in the fact that, like, Damian Lillard's getting all his money, just waived and stretched. DeAndre Ayton agreed to a buyout that took away $10 million that he makes right back up with the Lakers, right? So he's not losing money on the deal, but it did give three different players who were in situations that just weren't going to work out for different reasons, all three of them, it gave them fluidity of movement. It gave them the ability to go where they want and continue their careers. Like that is not a bad thing. That's a good thing. Now, if teams aren't, banging on the door to trade for Jonathan Kuminga, because again, CBA things they're trying to watch out. They don't want to do something that puts them hard capped at the first apron or pushes them into the second. Like those things will happen. But I don't think this has killed free agency. I think free agency is still great. The Blazers didn't make moves, and I know Blazer fans want more, but free agency as a whole is doing just fine, right? I think you couple just the fact the CBA is still something that I think a lot of people are learning, GMs, obviously, okay? And then the fact that this wasn't a superstar-laden free agency, then it feels like it was like, oh, man, what happened? Where'd all the moves go? I just don't think they were there to begin with, right? That's what I think. So I'm Draymond. I get it. Do your thing. Say your piece. You obviously know more about the backside of the NBA than I do. Been in this league for a long time. You're in there playing it. You're talking to your general managers, your coaches, all your other players, your agents. You know what's going on. But I just don't think that the CBA is killing everybody, right? It's making teams be more judicious with how they make moves. And I like that. You cannot be a team like a Golden State and just pile on, okay, we're going to give Draymond Green $100 million. We're going to give Klay Thompson $100 million. We're going to give Steph $500 million. And then we're going to give Kevin Durant $1 billion, right? Like you can't just do that and stockpile players on players on players. You have to be smart with who you pay, how you pay them, when you bring in other guys. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that leads to the competitive balance that we need. That's why you've seen, 7 different champions in the last 7 years. Teams that were good have to figure it out on the fly. That's part of the reason you probably saw Denver, get off a guy that was their homegrown guy, but in Michael Porter Jr., bring in Cam Johnson, see if this can help us, save us money, make some other moves, bring in a bunch of guys on vet minimums and see what happens, right? You see teams like Oklahoma City who have absolutely stockpiled on picks and their own young talent that they've developed. They've done well, really, really good in the draft. But now they're going to have to pay all those guys, figure it out. Some guys will probably be traded, and then you have to decide, okay, who are the 2, maybe 3 guys that we want to keep in here in OKC, because the rest are going to have to go at some point. That's what Boston did. They said the two guys we want to keep right now, this minute, are Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Sorry, Drew. Sorry, KP. We're going to have to move on here. Okay. San Antonio is going to be the next OKC where they're loading up so much talent, so much young talent that has ability through the roof. But they're going to have to pay people too. Portland, if everyone on Portland's roster takes off, you're going to have to find a way to pay Denny. You're going to have to Tumani Kamara makes $2.5 million. You're going to have to pay him. Scoot Henderson, Shaden Sharp, Donovan Clingan. Okay, well, if they all take off and things are gelling, you're still going to have to find ways to pay them. So then you're going to have to decide, okay, who's the guys we want to keep? How are we going to trade out? Okay, that's why Jeremy Grant hasn't seen a big movement, right? Because people have to decide, okay, how do we want to risk this? Who are we going to send out? Is it worth bringing in this $25 million? Does it hurt us next season? I think that's one thing. And all GMs always think about that, but it's a lot of, does it hurt us next season? And if you are that team that's willing to be hurt next season, you have to be a team like Boston, like I said with Brad Stevens, a team that is willing to say, okay, we're putting all those chips in for this short-term run, and we're going to see where it goes. We're going to see where it goes. And then after that, we will clear the cap and clear the books when the dust settles. But right now, we're okay with it because we feel we're competitive. We can win a championship. I don't care about the second apron if I'm taking a trip down Broadway. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're worried about. That's what they're worried about. Speaking about taking a trip down Broadway, is that the road that every parade goes down, right? Or I just think Broadway, downtown Portland. I don't know. All I know is DeAndre Ayton had a quote with the media today as he's talking to LA media. It says, we want to win a championship right now. That's what he said about the Lakers. He feels that they can go out, win a championship. And it's funny because, you know, he did. He ran his way out of Phoenix a little bit. Maybe kind of ran his way out of Portland. He did leave something to be desired. But, you know, it's interesting because the narrative on him sounds awfully familiar. So, and on-air producing, Michael Shacker, I'm going to use my computer, so make sure I got audio on here for you. But Windhorst, Brian Windhorst, y'all know him, right? The famous, like, why would they do that meme that continues to go everywhere. He was talking about DeAndre Ayton today on ESPN.
Well, the Lakers needed a center. They had $8 million to play with. That was their limitation. And they get a guy in his prime who has put up terrific numbers, who is going to be highly motivated. The contract he signed has an out after this year, which means that we're going to see potentially a DeAndre Ayton that we haven't seen in a while. He signed that contract with the Suns. He was salty from the moment that he signed it because he had to go get an offer sheet from the Pacers, and he just wasn't the same player over the last few years. All you can ask for from the Lakers that when the situation they were in was to get a motivated, high production player at that price. They did. Is he a perfect player? Of course not. He wouldn't have been bought out if he was a perfect player. But the Lakers are in a situation of need. DeAndre Ayton is in a situation of need. We'll have to see how they work together.
Doesn't that sound familiar? Does that not sound familiar? You know, he's highly motivated because he's out of Phoenix. Notice how he didn't even mention Portland, as if Portland was just a blip, right? This stop here didn't happen. But he's highly motivated. And he wants to win now, and they needed that. They needed a center who was highly motivated. That's what we were fed from Phoenix. I will admit it. That's what Chad and I talked about on this show when we were having members of the Phoenix media come on air and talk to us about, like, yeah, I think you guys are going to get a really, really good DeAndre Ayton because, you know, he's motivated to be out of Phoenix. He's going to be ready to go. And then he still left something to be desired. Windhorst says, is he a perfect player? No. And sometimes I think it's by his own doing. I mean, he was pulled out of the lineup for lack of spirit. Coach did not like his spirit. Coach had to get on him. Didn't risk getting to the arena in the ice storm when everybody else did. Granted, I don't know if I would if I was 7 foot tall either, and those hills that they live in over there. Okay? But this whole idea, like, now he's motivated. We were fed that he was motivated in Portland. At some point, maybe you just understand that DeAndre Ayton is what he is. Now, I'll tell you this. I think DeAndre Ayton, at that price tag that they got him, is a phenomenal steal. phenomenal. I think open market value without because he I think he's okay taking $8 million because he's obviously getting the 25 from the Blazers, right? Things are good, but it's like I think a 15 mil. I am not like if he's in Portland right now for 15 mil, I'm fine. I would take that. Might be your starting center for a minute till DC's ready to go, but if that's what you had, I'd be fine with him for 15 mil. But it was the 35 mil for what you were getting that was a little bit of frustrating at times. You're like, you are a max player. And then he says stuff like, I don't need to prove anything. I got my max contract. I've already proved it. That gets frustrating to hear that. I don't think if Chad came to me tomorrow and gave me the max money offer that iHeart is giving anybody, like, hey, the max money that iHeart gives any of their employees is XYZ, and we're going to give that to you. I'm not mailing it in tomorrow, the next day. I'm excited. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to continue to earn that check. So when you do the whole, like, I don't need to prove anything. Now you need to prove a lot. You need to prove that you belong. You need to prove that you can make it. You need to be motivated. Maybe he wasn't all the time. So it's just interesting to me that what Windy says echoes what we heard here in Portland. Oh, he's leaving Phoenix. He's motivated. You're going to get a great DeAndre Ayton. And don't get me wrong. I liked DA. I liked DA a lot. I just didn't like him at the price tag. But again, you got to understand what you're getting if you're LA. Is he going to be good? I think he'll be good. But man, motivated DA, and that's exactly what they need in championships. And okay, pump the brakes, my friends. Pump the brakes. This is the Rip City Drive. Chris Burkhardt here with you. If you want to join the conversation, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. You can also go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio. And of course, Chris J. Burkhardt is the name on social media. Take a quick break. We'll return with plenty more here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio, 620. This takes me back. High school. POD was POD was it. I feel so alive. Oh yeah. Welcome back into the Rip City Drive. Chris Burkhardt here with you. If you want to join the conversation, 503-248-0620. You can also follow me on social at Chris J. Burkhardt, where oh man, I just saw this article that I'm usually not that guy who tweets about that stuff, but man, Oregon passing laws now. You're gonna have to have a permit just to use your stand-up paddleboard. Any watercraft on an Oregon waterway, you have to have a permit. Oh man, all those daytime paddlers gonna. Oh man, sorry, officer, I didn't have my permit for my stand-up paddleboard. Oh, you gonna write me a ticket? Can I get off with a warning? Oh man, where do I get my permit for my stand-up paddleboard? What are we doing? What are we doing? A permit for a stand-up paddleboard? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It's like a bad like South Park joke. Yeah, there is a fee that we're gonna have to pay for the processing fee. Yeah, but I'm already paying the processing fee. Yeah, but there's a fee on top of that. Like to run the processing fee, it actually costs money, so you have to pay a fee on top of the processing fee. It's the processing fee. Oh my gosh. I had fun on the stand-up paddleboard this weekend. Tell you what though, Papa Burke's got to lose a couple LBs at stand-up paddleboards every single summer. It's getting just a little bit harder to stand up on. Oh man, at least I'm nice and buoyant when I fall off. gotta work on my recreation skills, man. Gotta work on my recreation skills. Again, welcome back in though to the Rip City Drive Chat. Doing is out today. I'm filling in for him. He'll be back tomorrow. You guys should go watch his social media because he was talking about yesterday. He had he went on a little road trip with Isaac, and Isaac is driving down there. He's just asking, why are we going to this like random city in the middle of California? Because that's where Isaac wanted to go to, and Isaac is driving. So as any dad would do when their young son's driving, Chad is white knuckle passenger in it, right? He's freaking out. So I guarantee you're going to want to listen to the Rip City Drive tomorrow morning because Chad, being a radio host, is a professional storyteller. And I think he's going to have some stories to tell. I absolutely think he's going to have some stories to tell. But man, I took a road trip a couple years back to San Francisco for a 49er game with my dad, man. And if one thing I'll say is, God, that was fun. It was so fun. Just me, dad, the open road, just 10-hour drive down to San Francisco, and just, you know what? Just enjoying the moment is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So I'm glad Chad gets to do that today and yesterday. And I'm glad that I'm here to fill in for him, get a chance to talk to you crazies out there listening to the Rip City Radio, Rip City Drive every single day. All right, back on track. We talked about it in the update a little bit earlier. Anthony Davis of the Dallas Mavericks, formerly of the Los Angeles Lakers, part of that mega Luka Doncic trade that no one will ever forget, with the day we all thought Shams got hacked. That might be an ESPN 30 for 30 one day. Anthony Davis, who always injured, as we know, underwent a procedure to repair a detached retina that he suffered during the season. Sources told ESPN's Shams Charania. Davis is expected to be healthy for training camp with his first training camp with the Dallas Mavericks since being dealt in that blockbuster trade. But man, that is an injury that just sounds so nasty. No, it's so a detached retina, like that seems risky to continue to play with. He didn't have any incidents after that, but he did take a couple shots to the face, right? But man, that's just a detached retina. Don't be messing with my eyes. I want to be able to see the world in front of me. I'm glad he's getting healed up though, man. Glad he's getting healed up. That's just a nasty injury. It flies under the radar though. It wasn't an ACL and it wasn't an Achilles, but a detached retina. That's just one of those injuries. Like even if I'm overblowing it and it's not that bad, it just sounds bad. Like detached retina just sounds bad, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Like hernia. What's a hernia? Hernia sounds like nothing. Now, for those of you who have heard it, I know that a hernia is not nothing. I'm not underselling that. That stuff hurts. But a hernia does not sound like something that's painful. Detached retina? Oh, that sounds terrible. That sounds terrible. That's my medical rant for the day, my friends. I went on a medical rant and a paddleboard rant. That's what you get from me here. Oh man, that's a wild injury to have. Wonder. I don't know if the article says like exactly how he got it. If it was just a blow to the head, it just obviously hit it just right. That's likely what happened. But at least the NBA doesn't have the wild injuries like Major League Baseball does. Like, have you guys gone down the history of like the craziest injuries in Major League Baseball? Like a player missing time because they hurt themselves having a pillow fight. Like that really happened. That really happened. I mean, Aroldis Chapman in 2022, he was placed on the 15-day DL, missed time because of a leg infection stemming from a tattoo he got. like 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 what? What? That's just kind of crazy. That's just kind of crazy. So like I said, pillow fight injuries. Max Scherzer missed time when he was bitten on his right hand, his throwing hand, by one of his dogs. There, the Mariners have more ruptured grapefruits than they do World Series championships. If you feel me, that's a famous one. Sports injuries are wild. Baseball injuries just happen to be the wildest. Do you imagine, like, hey Chad, I can't come into work today. Why? Threw my back out. I can't move. What'd you do? Did you have a nasty spill? Like, did you lift too heavy in the gym? Pillow fight with the kids. I'm gonna be out for about a week. Like Hunter Strickland of the Nationals in 2019 was knocked out by a barbell. Like baseball injuries, man. There's something special. All right, 1 hour down, 2 more to go. Sean Hyken joins us at 5 o'clock right here on the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Hello there, Rip City. It is 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Another beautiful summer day here in the Pacific Northwest. Hopefully, you're enjoying it while listening to some sports takes here on the Rip City Drive. In sports news today, uh, Anthony Davis of the Dallas Mavericks. It was announced that he underwent surgery for a detached retina that he suffered late in the season, played through the injury. He is expected to make a full recovery. Also, it was late news yesterday that the Pacers did also announce that Tyrese Halliburton will not play next year. And lost in the shuffle of everything crazy, the Knicks officially brought on Mike Brown as their next head coach. And over in the world of the WNBA, our Sean Hyken is reporting that in just a few days, July 15th, the Portland WNBA team will hold a press conference at 3 o'clock to officially announce their team name. Hour 2 of the Rip City Drive starts now. Welcome back into the Rip City Drive. Chris Burkhardt here with you, filling in for Chad Doing today. He's out on a little bit of a vacation. He'll be back tomorrow, though. And like I said, he's a professional storyteller, and I guarantee you he will have some stories to tell. He's been out on the road with his son, Isaac, having some good father-son time, but I know he's going to be eager to share some stories with all you loyal listeners out there. Also, it's funny, as I was talking about the stand-up paddleboard tax, obviously kind of crazy, but then Jason Hassler on social was razzing me. He's like, you're going to start getting, you're going to get, have to have a permit to walk. You're going to get taxed on your weight. And it just brought me back to my joke about a processing fee, which it made me think of Michael Shacker, who I don't think he can get on the mic because he's out of the studio for a second. But he was talking about how he purchased the Ozzy Osbourne farewell concert, which was a stream, and there was a processing fee on his purchase for a stream. Like, Ticketmaster already kills us to go to a concert and have a processing fee to what? What's the processing fee? Like, maybe you used to have to, hey, here's an extra 5 cents. You can print the ticket out on that piece of card stock. But what's the processing fee for my digital ticket? I've never understood that. But when Michael Shacker told me he had a processing fee for his digital purchase, I was blown away.
Yeah, they called it a ticket. I was buying a ticket to a live stream.
So they called it a ticket. You weren't buying the stream. You were buying. They basically
Yeah.
like razz you. You were buying a ticket to a concert to watch virtually.
Yeah. And it was only a few bucks, but I didn't know about it till like the final moment, which I thought the government got it involved in. I was supposed to know the price up front. Like Ticketmaster, if you've noticed, they have the full price of the tickets now.
Yeah. Yes, I know they've started to do these things, and I appreciate that. Just put it in the price. Put it in
You
the
know what?
price.
5 million people bought this stream. So a few extra bucks here and there, that's a lot of money that went to charity.
That is a lot of money, right? See, but see, if it's all going to charity, okay, I get it. You know, that's cool. I like that. But at the same time, you probably could have got just as much money, if not more, if you're like, hey, we're donating to charity. This is Ozzy's favorite charity. How much money do you want to donate? I feel like everyone who wanted to listen to Ozzy's last concert, like, oh, this is Ozzy's favorite charity. Yeah, here's $10. Like, everyone would have filled that charity up. I just thought that was wild, though. A processing fee, or as he said, a ticket fee for his digital purchase. What a time to be alive. Have you seen the nonsense too with like the gaming? Like you don't buy video games anymore. You basically are paying to have the right to play them. But now, since everything is an online service, all they have to do is turn that server off, and you lose access to that video game that you bought. That happened with The Crew, a racing video game, where they turned off the server and you couldn't even play it offline anymore. You couldn't even fire it up and play a solo race by yourself against the computer. It just killed the game, and you couldn't even turn it on. Don't own anything, man. You don't own anything. See how that changes in the digital world. Digital world is crazy. I could get on my high horse about digital content, man. Like, like one thing that really grinds my gears is like, I don't know why. I like to see things as they were intended, how they were originally created, or how the eye would see them. It's like I do not like the basketball games with the ads superimposed on the court. I don't like that. I'm just maybe it's because I'm firmly getting to starting to be old man yells at cloud, get off my lawn guy. But like when I'm watching a game, it's the Blazers at Lakers, and I see a Moda Center or Moda Health logo on the Lakers court that I know is not there, and then 2 possessions later, it's changed to a different ad. I'm like, nope, that's not what Staples Center looks like, or Crypto.com. When you're there, I want to see how it looks, or the fact that with all the digital uploads now, the WWE Network or Disney, like they could, this one scene that was offensive or we don't like, we're going to take it out. And it's like, okay, well, I don't like that. I want to be able to consume my media how it was in its original form. And, if you want, put your disclaimer up there about something, but I want to be able to consume it. Once you change it, like, I don't like that. I don't like that. I want to be able to see, like, wrestling all the time is the worst. Wrestling's like, yeah, there was a botch in this match. We don't want people to know that they messed up. So we're just going to digitally alter the match when you go back and see it. So you can't see it anymore. It's like, no, I want to see it how it was made in its original form. Digital media. Now, if you want to see it in its original form, you're going to have to start paying an original form fee. Michael Shacker. Oh, do you want to buy Independence Day, or do you want to buy Independence Day in its original form? Oh, that's why you need to bring back as much of the old hardware as possible. Even though they used to do that when WWE would release their DVDs, they'd alter those too. But, man, I'm getting too old for this. Getting too old for this. All I want to do is rant now. Speaking of ranting, getting mad at bad takes and crazy things. I don't know if you guys saw this, but it was The Athletic had tweeted out just the other day about their top college football rivalries, right? And college football is just right around the corner. August will be here before you know it. They sent this tweet: before kickoff, college football rivalries bring families, friends, colleagues close together. The outcome instantly divides those same people. But which one of these rise above the rest in the nation? And they listed their top 25 rivalries in college football. I was a little surprised at some of these. Michigan, Ohio State, number 1, not surprised. I think that's one of the best rivalries in all of sports. What I was surprised by was that Michigan was on this list 3 times. Like Michigan versus Michigan State and Michigan versus Notre Dame, neither of which I had ever considered as a major college football rivalry. Maybe within the state of Michigan, Michigan versus Michigan State, right? But never considered it like a major college football rivalry. What kind of cracked me up, and again, maybe I'm looking at it through some green colored glasses, but Washington, Oregon was all the way down at 21. Like, Washington, Oregon is one of the best rivalries in college football. Like, that's a top 10er in my opinion. Of course, I have to go through the list, and then maybe maybe it's not. But it's like Harvard Yale was above Washington, Oregon. Like, come on. Harvard Yale is just Harvard Yale. Is it really a top 25 rivalry in sport? Don't know about that. Is USC, UCLA? When was the last time that was a rivalry? Like, yeah, they play each other, and I get it's the intertown rivalry, but when was the last time like that thing was a big, massive rivalry? They had it on this list at number 14. A better rivalry than Oregon-Washington? I don't know about that. Now, USC Notre Dame at number 5. I can get behind that USC rivalry. That one is that one's lived on for forever. That's a great one, and they got to figure out how to continue to get that one going in the future. Auburn versus Alabama, number 2. Oklahoma and Texas, number 3. Number 4, Army Navy. I have no qualms with that. I can get behind that. I mean, maybe not top 5, but there's something special about Army Navy because it's the only game going on that week. All college football eyes on there. Boom, here we go. I like that. Then you start going down the list. Miami versus Florida State. That's like meh. Ohio State, Penn State. They have good games, but is that a fat rivalry? I didn't really know about that. Florida State. I get that. Minnesota, Wisconsin, Alabama, Tennessee. Okay, again, they've put some good games. Like Alabama, LSU is there at 13, and I feel like Alabama, LSU is a bigger rivalry to someone who's not an Alabama fan like myself than Alabama and Tennessee. Please weigh in and correct me if I'm wrong here. I'd love to know. Georgia, Florida's on there at number 12. I know that's a good one. Obviously, the Georgia Florida line, the interstate rivalry there, that's a good one. Texas A&M's on there. Auburn versus Georgia is on there. That's another one. Like, is that a rivalry? I'm shocking to hear. Like, I didn't know that was like a blue blood, massive top rivalry in the country. You got Kansas versus Missouri on there. I can understand that one, but that one, you're telling me Kansas versus Missouri is a better rivalry than Washington, Oregon? You're telling me Minnesota versus Wisconsin is better than Washington, Oregon? Come on now. Iowa and Wisconsin is there at 22. That's not better than Oregon, but it is listed right below them. Ole Miss versus Miss State. I get that one. Clemson and South Carolina, I get that one. Oklahoma State there at 25. That's another one, probably a little bit low. I always thought that was a fun rivalry from the outside looking in, one that has lost its luster due to conference realignment, right? But anyway, Oregon coming in at 21. Like, man, that's Oregon Washington that's a good rivalry, man. That's a really good rivalry. Not only, I mean, the move to the Big Ten. Now it's the last game of the year. It's kind of take the spot of the old Civil War. All the hatred that goes back to just the tie-breaking votes for championships and Rick Neuheisel and like just the hatred that goes back and forth. The decade of dominance. The Washington finally getting it back, coming in, putting up 70 at Autzen. Like there is a rivalry there. Like, I know there's a rivalry with Oregon and Oregon State fan too, but like being a Duck, it's just like I never hated Oregon State. Oh, Washington just grinds your gears, right? Washington gets you up, it gets going. They call it Hate Week for a reason. It had a saying back at Oregon, and that was every day is Happy I Hate Washington Day. Now, I don't, necessarily hate Washington. The state's pretty awesome. Lived there for a while. All to the Husky fans who love their Huskies. I get it too. You love them. That's great. That's cool. That's what makes college football fun. There's no one that I actually like really hate. You know what I mean? But the rivalries get you going. They get you pumped. Washington, Oregon at 21. No, that's better than Harvard, Yale. It's better than Kansas versus Missouri. It's better than Auburn versus Georgia. I will tell you that. It's better than Michigan State. Tell me Michigan has 3 better rivalries than Oregon and Washington. You're telling me Alabama has 3 better rivalries than Oregon and Washington? Like their top ones, yes. Auburn and Alabama, that's a good rivalry. Michigan, Ohio State, that's a good rivalry. Michigan State? Meh. I don't know my music. I'm going to guess that Shacker did a Shacker thing, and this must be Florida-Georgia line. All right, Chris Burkhardt here with you talking college football rivalries. Plenty more sports talk coming up. Sean Highkin joins us at 5 o'clock to talk all things Blazers. Remember, Summer League just a few days away. Chris Burkhardt here with you on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio, 620. Welcome back into the Rip City Drive. Chris Burkhardt here with you, filling in for Chad Doing today. He'll be back tomorrow, though, so don't you worry. You can follow the conversation with us. Head on over to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, join the conversation. You can also follow me on social media. Chris J. Burkhardt is the name. And if you want to get in on the conversation at any point, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. At 5 o'clock, Sean Hyken of the Rose Garden Report, our Trailblazers insider, will be joining us. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Should be some good content as he is getting ready. He'll be heading down to Las Vegas for Summer League and giving you all the latest happenings down in Las Vegas. Blazers will have their first chance to see Young Hansen on the floor, which will be pretty good. I think Caleb Love's going to have a pretty good Summer League as well. It's kind of made for guys like him to thrive. So it'll be interesting to see. But Sean will be in here in just a little bit, and we'll be breaking down Summer League, some of these trades that have happened, and everything else about Blazer basketball. Now, in the meantime, we were talking about college football rivalries a second ago, and, you know, everyone has a hot take, and that was definitely a hot take. But Portland, or the Ducks and the Huskies aren't even that high. What are we doing? What are we doing? But again, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day because you know what? Those bowl games are all pretty fun. They're all pretty fun. And people chime in. I mean, a Cougar fan chimes in and says, UW and Oregon over the Apple Cup is crazy work. No, it's not. No, it's not. Oregon Washington that's a crazy rivalry, man. Just a crazy rivalry. It's crazier than Oregon State. Probably a little crazier than Washington State. It's nasty work, especially when Washington's good. When Washington's good and Oregon's good, oh man, is it filthy. But I wanted to keep talking about college football for a second, even though, you know, I did talk college football video game yesterday since College Football 26 early access was available yesterday. I went home and played some. It was awesome. It's better than College Football 25. It's going to take some learning, but it's awesome. They just need to fix the darn Hawaii football field. It's not a grass field. It's a turf field. Has striped green. Come on, figure it out, EA. I'm going to email my people over there, see if they can fix it. But the reason I want to bring up college football is one thing I've noticed over the last few weeks, especially the month of June was an interesting one, is college football recruiting is really in an interesting spot. Obviously, NIL has a large part to do with that. Obviously, the passing that, you know, now you can, pay players directly from your pool. All those things are having an impact on it, right? But I find it interesting that Oregon has lost out on a couple recruits. And next thing you know, it's like the sky is falling. Has Dan Lanning lost his touch? Uh-oh, what's going on in Oregon? And you look at what's going on. Okay, right now, looking at the 2026 class, okay, USC, as of right now, has the number one ranked class, 1 5-star recruit, 20 4-star recruits, 31 recruits overall, number one. Georgia at number two. A&M, Notre Dame, Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan follow. Miami, and then there is Oregon with the number 9 class. The biggest difference between Oregon and what those other teams are putting together is of those top 10 teams, Clemson is number 10, by the way. Of those top 10 teams, only 2 of those teams have fewer than 20 recruits right now. And that's Alabama and that's Oregon. Oregon has just 14 recruits committed to the 2026 class, yet they have what is considered right now a top 10 class. They have 3 5-star recruits, which in that group of top 10 and overall in general is second only to Alabama, who has 4 5-star recruits right now. So I'm sitting there wondering why we're worried that Oregon is losing in the recruiting battle because Dan Lanning isn't getting every single last recruit, or he's had a couple commits that ended up backing out and going to different schools. Like, that's just recruiting. That's going to happen. It's going to happen more and more for every single school as NIL becomes more and more prominent, as these schools continue to hand out paychecks to these athletes. It's going to happen, right? But I don't see a problem with that. I think, Oregon was ahead of the curve when it came to being ready and prepared for NIL. Dan Lanning has proven in his time at Georgia and in the SEC and here at Oregon that he's a phenomenal recruiter, right? Mario Cristobal for everyone who wants to pick on him for his X's and O's and what he does in his clock management, which we've seen at Oregon and Miami, a absolute phenomenal recruiter. Okay, that was part of the reason Willie Taggart added him to the staff. That's part of the reason Oregon kind of changed how they recruited in general, is because of guys like Taggart and Mario Cristobal, right? And that's why Miami is there at number 8 in the 2026 recruiting class. And if losing a couple recruits brings you down and you're 9, yeah, that hurts. You'd love to have the number 1 class. But when you look at the names around you, again, Oregon is sandwiched between Clemson. That's a national championship winning team. Miami, who, again, for all you talk about Mario Cristobal, they're on the up. Like, they are not the Miami of 10 years ago. Like, that felt like you were struggling. LSU is right there behind Clemson. Michigan just ahead of Miami. Ohio State, you are sandwiched between college football blue bloods and champions. You're right where you want to be. You're going to be fine. Losing recruits, it happens, right? And if you get too worried about what the future looks, just know that if you go to the 2027 recruiting class right now, the number 2 recruiting class in the entire country is Sacramento State, because they have six 3-star recruits, which is the most of any team in the country right now. They have 7 overall recruits for the class of 2027, which is the most of any team. So they have the second. That's not. Guess what? They're not going to have the second overall recruiting class when it's all said and done. So I wouldn't read too much into their success. Good for them right now, though. Good for them right now, as they try to maybe join the pack. They are a state school, so that is a prerequisite. You have to be Sacramento State, right? You have to have a state at the end of your school name. But again, the point is, I'm not worried. I'm not worried about Oregon and their success. I would say it is interesting to watch USC all of a sudden just boom, turn it on. They got NIL, they got donors, they got a team, they got a program that wants to win with a long history of winning. So, oh no, Dan Lanning's lost his grip on Southern California. Oh, boo-hoo. Because only champions come from SoCal? I get it. It's a recruiting hotbed. There are thousands of kids who come out of that city. You can find some. You can't take every single 5-star and 4-star recruit. You don't have room on your roster to do that. Pick the ones you want. And at the end of the day, if a kid recruits or commits to Oregon and then he backs out, respectfully, like I don't want you at Oregon. You didn't want to be here. Oh, I'm not making up a scenario here, but I'm like, oh, you left Oregon and you went to A&M? Good. You didn't want to be at Oregon. You wanted to be at A&M. Go to A&M and thrive. Thrive. Like, I'm not going to be upset. Oh man, that guy was an Oregon recruit and Dan Lanning lost him, and then he went to Texas A&M and he became an NFL player and he was a stud. Well, he didn't want to be at Oregon. He went to the end. He left because he went to the school he wanted to go to, and he thrived, and that's cool. That's great for him. That's great for these kids. Go do that. But the ones who don't decommit and come to Oregon, they want to be here. Take them. Enjoy it. That's what Dan Lanning's doing. And one thing I love about Dan Lanning and all these college football coaches who are great recruiters is, doesn't matter. Oh, lost a recruit. The grind keeps going. We're going to get the next guy. It's just like, oh, someone's hurt, next guy up. Oh, someone, we lost a recruit. We're gone. Okay, next recruit up. Let's figure this out. We're going to get some dogs in here. Okay? So it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. And I care much more. I care much more for the players who eventually put on the uniform and then show up on Saturdays. Okay? I could get hyped about every single 5-star that you have coming in, but I don't know anything about them. But I know everything I need to know about, Dante Moore. And I know everything I need to know about Michael James when he was here. I knew everything I needed to know about Bucky Irving. I knew everything I needed to know about Bo Nix. Like, that's once you wear the uniform, that's what I care about. Getting all caught up in recruiting and star rankings and numbers, it's kind of crazy. It's absolutely kind of crazy. And again, some of the best players to come through this program weren't big 5-star coveted guys. You get the right guy, the right mentality, and the right coach, and you'll find diamonds. You'll absolutely find diamonds. LaMichael James was a diamond. Haloti Ngata, he's pretty good. Probably the best player in Oregon history, depending on who you ask. I think he's in there. Patrick Chung, he was pretty good. Joey Harrington was in your backyard. He ended up being pretty good. Marcus Mariota is pretty good, right? You don't have to be every single stud in the world. You don't need to get nothing but 5-star recruits. And you've had 5-star recruits who didn't pan out. That happens too. That happens too. It's college football. I'm not worried, though. As the other schools catch up to Oregon in the NIL world and everything is, back to being the wild, wild west of old, I am confident because A, Oregon has its stuff together. B, Dan Lanning knows how to recruit. And then Portland and Oregon was ahead of the curve. They were ahead of the curve. And I think that they can continue to keep going and make sure they stay ahead, right? The ever-changing landscape of college football it's like working like I do at the OSAA in social media. Like, it is ever changing. You cannot rest on what you know. You have to understand that you have got to keep pushing and learning and getting better because the world around you will change. What you knew yesterday when it came to recruiting is not what you know today. Everything will change. And one thing I think this Oregon team has shown, and Dan Lanning, is their ability to change when those things happen. And again, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And I also think those teams around them, when you look at the recruiting rankings, USC, Alabama, again, those are teams that those guys know how to do it, right? Ryan Day knows what he's doing. Cristobal knows what he's doing. Dabo Swinney knows what he's doing. Kalen DeBoer gets the benefit now of being in Alabama. He's not the world's greatest recruiter, but guess what? He has the top 5 class right now, so I guess you can't knock him too bad. Alabama does recruit itself pretty easily, but still, X's and O's wise, he's a great coach. He's going to be fine. Lincoln Riley's turning around at USC. Kirby Smart's just doing what he does at Georgia, recruiting like a son of a gun. I'm not upset that Oregon is, they lost a couple of recruits, and right now they're 2026 class, which, we still got a ways to go. Yeah, they're number 9. That's terrible. This is me, not worried in the least. That's what I got to say about NIL. It's crazy. Like I said, the world is changing. It is wild how much college football recruiting, everything that goes into it is nothing like what we thought we knew back in the day. Okay, but back in the day, schools were paying money and finding ways to get people. It was just more so under the table. Right, we all know very well. Reggie Bush had to give his Heisman Trophy back because of it, right? But not too worried. I'm not too worried. Auburn right now has the 78th ranked recruiting class. They're a big, mighty SEC team. You know who's right behind them at 79? Oregon State. Does that matter for either one of those schools? No, because Auburn tends to put it together. They know what they're doing at the end of the day. I'm not worried. Not worried about Dan Lanning losing a couple of recruits. At some point, too, you can only get so many of the top dogs to come in before they're like, oh, yeah, I'll go where I can play. You think Nick Saban and Kirby Smart never had to deal with a transfer? You think Nick Saban and Kirby Smart never had to deal with losing a recruit? Nope, they just went to the recruiting board and every single one they wanted just came to Bama and Georgia respectively? No, they got in battles. They lost recruits. They had guys transfer. It happens. It happens. Not worried about it at all. I am worried about the Athletic not respecting Washington and Oregon as a rivalry, though. That's a bit pathetic. Figure that one out, my friends. Figure that one out. All right, speaking of football, going over to the NFL for a second. Isn't it crazy if you pay attention to what's going on in Kansas City with obviously the Royals and the Chiefs trying to lobby to get money to get new stadiums. The Royals wanted to go to downtown. The Chiefs wanted to put in a ton of money to renovate Arrowhead. And now you have Kansas, because, again, yes, they play in Kansas City, but you got Kansas City, Kansas City, Missouri. The state line separates the city. You got Kansas trying to lobby to get them to move to Kansas. It's so weird what's going on. Could you imagine? You are the Chiefs. You have been to 10 Super Bowls in a row. You have the best quarterback on the planet. Your starting tight end is dating a mega pop star. And you have a city not willing to just fork over some money and help you out to keep you in town. Now I know I highly, highly doubt Kansas City leaves. Right? I don't think the Chiefs are leaving their region. But just could you imagine? What if St. Louis comes in? They're like, well, hey, you can come play in the dome for a few years while we build you a new stadium out here in St. Louis. And you're like, okay, well, okay, we could stay in Kansas City, Missouri. We go to St. Louis, Missouri. You know what? Let's ship on down the road for a minute. Like, could you imagine a world class team, a championship team, a Super Bowl team, like at the height of their megastar, going, "Yep, we out." Kansas City. Up. Is it loud? Yep. Those things matter, right? I just imagine if like the Patriots in the middle of Tom Brady's hype, like, yeah, you're not going to get us out of the stadium and into that brand new stadium Gillette over there that we want to go play in. So yeah, we're outsy, we're outsy. Vermont will take us. We're gonna move up there. Don't want to be here in Massachusetts no more. Sorry, Foxborough, we're out. It's wild to think about. So Kansas City dealing with that right now. They do have that old school they wanted to build the big sports complex because Kauffman Stadium is right next to Arrowhead. Those original renderings when they built it, they wanted to build like a mobile roof that could go over either stadium when needed, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. But Arrowhead's one of those stadiums. It's a special football stadium. It's old, it's dated, but there's something about it. There's something about it. I don't understand why you always got to have to renovate everything. Sometimes if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But we can put a new coat of paint on it, make it look good, give you a couple nicer amenities. Be